Alright, Johnny here. I am here. I'm right here. I'm not causing any trouble. I'm right here. Don't you worry. I know where I'm not supposed to go. Anyways, that's not what this video's about. It's like no matter what I do, I'm causing trouble. They call me trouble anywhere I'm... Even in the locked up facilities, they call me trouble. You know what I mean? I wasn't even doing anything. So, I was born trouble. You know? Oh, he's walking through the door there. He's trouble. Here comes trouble. My whole life. I don't even do anything. They suspect I'll do something. But I never do. You know? Most of the time. But anyway, that's not what this video's about. I was thinking about this. This is about Archangel. Why are you making so many videos about Archangel? This is why. That's why. Did you write a letter to me in jail? No. Archangel wrote a letter to me in jail. The only one that wrote a letter to me in jail. Not even JR wrote a letter to me in jail. I'm pissed about that. I'm not sure what that's about. But okay. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. The fact remains, Archangel is the only one that sent me a letter. And he told me he sent the message to the team where I was. You know, he said blue sky, saw the message. I'm like, okay. Maybe someone else will write me a letter. But no one else did. Just Robert. And that's why I respect him. We've clashed, and everybody knows the history of me and Robert. We've clashed since last Christmas. Since forever, we've clashed. The Archangel and the Wolverine, we've clashed like true enemies. You know what I mean? He's a formidable opponent, and he doesn't fool me for a second. He's formidable, and this proves it. His tracking ability. He tracked me. I had no technology in the jail cell. None. No outlets. No address. You know, somehow he got a letter to me. And I wasn't even supposed to be in that locked facility at that time. That's how good his tracking skills are from the air. You know, I'm not kidding. I wasn't even supposed to be there at that time. I wasn't even, I was supposed to be in a different lock facility still. Or even a different one. But, things happened that I was at this, maximum security jail when, I got rushed there. Because I was breaking through their agenda. You know what I mean? Like, he ain't crazy. Send him to jail. Just send him to jail. He isn't crazy. Pretty much. They're like, get him out of the psych ward. You know what I mean? He's embarrassing it, the whole psych ward agenda. I'm like, yes, I am. I'm exposing it every day. I was, But anyways, I said that in a different video. But yeah. He wrote me a letter. That's impressive tracking skills. We haven't talked since last Christmas, basically. We haven't talked. I gave him the middle finger. I did, literally. He knows it. I gave him the middle finger way back then, And I haven't talked to him since, even though he still donated to help the mission. I didn't talk to him, didn't read anything he sent, nothing. This is the first time I read something that Robert wrote to me since Christmas. I'm not kidding. You know what I mean? I'm like, I didn't make any rules that says I can't read a letter from my enemy in jail. I made no rule about that when I kicked him off the team. I'm like, all right, he's the only person that cares, it seems like. So I read the letter, so, but, I don't know. But that's what this video's about. Like, even if they put me on Con Air, like I thought they were, I was with a couple guys that have been on was locked up with a couple guys that were on Con Air at one time. I thought they were going to do that with me, with how insane they were, you know what I mean, transporting me here to there, so I wouldn't escape, you know what I mean, just always in handcuffs for they going there, and, I'm like, they're going to put me on Con Air. After maximum security jail, this is what I thought, they're going to escort me to get on, to transport me to an airplane, to get on Con Air, fly me to a different country, and put me in a prison, in a pit, in a different country, like in The Dark Knight Rises, which is kind of like maximum security jail. I'm not kidding. But that's what I thought they were going to do. I'm like, oh man, they're going to put me on Con Air, fly me somewhere that no one knows where I'm at. But Robert would still know where I was, even if they did that. That's as good as tracking skills are. I was impressed. I thought the letter was from Bishop, But anyways, here's my other friend. You know that guy. My only other friend in the jail cell, Mr. Jesus. Hoping every day that he would get me out of there. But he never did. And we kept dragging it on until I lost all hope. I lost all hope in the man, Mr. Jesus. I did. But he showed me a scripture of when he got captured, And I might make another video about this. He's like, when he gets captured, he's like, this is your hour of power, something like that, to Satan, this is your hour, And that's what I felt when I was in jail. I'm like, this is the enemy's hour. The Empire Strikes Back part of the story. It was totally the Empire Strikes Back. They beat me bad. You know what I mean? They ain't done yet. But it was the Empire Strikes Back of the story, totally. Like, I'm like, I don't know how to beat this situation. You know what I mean? It was bad, me in a dungeon. Like the gladiator when he's in a dungeon before he faces the emperor, I felt like I got put in the dungeon by the emperor. You know what I'm saying? I pissed off the emperor and they put me in the dungeon for it. A lot of truth to that. A lot of truth to that, more than you know. But, when I felt like Braveheart in the dungeon, they're trying to give me stuff to dope me up. I'm like, nope, I'm going to be sober when I face all the punishment and judges. I'm going to be sober. And I was. I'm like, you're not going to give me any mind-altering anything. I'm being sober through all of this. And it was horrible sober. But worth it in the end. The Bible says, be ye sober-minded. And I was sharp. I was sober against every enemy. Whether it was psychologist here, judge here, bought off judge there, designated examiner there, social worker here trying to shove meds down my throat. It's like a constant, undercover cop in a nurse outfit. It was just constant, you know what I mean? Enemy territory by myself. I had to be sober. You gotta be. You know what I mean? I was behind enemy lines, locked up. The worst situation ever. So, but I am here. I am here now. Don't you just love my videos? I do. But anyways, this is why we respect Archangel right now. Yes, indeed. And who knows, way down the line, when I ask, if I ever ask Gambit if he wants me to be on the X-Men ever again, if he does, which I won't ask him for a while. I don't, I don't really want to be on the X-Men. They didn't even care I was in jail. Archangel cares. He's an enemy of the X-Men. He's a former X-Men. I'm like, what the heck is going on? It's like 2 former X-Men's are uniting. That's what it is. But if I ever decide to be on the X-Men again, which I probably won't for a while, I may consider, like, talking to Gambit and the other X-Men, like Jubilee and Blue Sky, Storm, if we would take a vote, like the election season. I'm starting to believe in voting again. I am, you know what I mean? The people spoke strongly in their vote in November. Super strong. I believe in voting again. None of this going over the top business like I've done and I paid for it. None of that anymore. You know what I mean? We do it the right way, voting. I'm gonna ask Gambit if we could have a vote. You know what I mean? Even Rogue may be part of the vote. Who knows? If we would consider voting Archangel back on the X-Men team again. I'm not kidding. That's how legit Archangel was for the Wolverine in jail, putting money on my books. The only person that put money on my books. If he put money on my books twice, the only 2 times, then he's the only one that put money on my books. He's a hero to the Wolverine. You know what I'm saying? He's got my 12 from above. You know what I mean? Dropped a letter on my head, basically. Like the angel from above. But yeah, I may consider, but that's way down the road. If I'm ever an X-Men, I'm like, do you guys want Archangel back on the team? We'll take a vote. If it's more than 50%, Archangel's back on the team. I'm not kidding. That's how much of a redemption road he's been on since being against the mission back, the Hawkgate's mission. He was against it. I kicked him off the team. Since then, he's been on a big redemption road, in my opinion. So I don't know if he, felt guilty, or something, came back to God. I don't know. I don't know what happened. But I like redemption stories of the enemy. He's, became my enemy, but now he's my ally enemy, But anyways, I'm sure this makes sense to some of you out there. It's mainly a few people, which is the point of my videos. My videos only make sense to a few people. Everybody else is like one of the normal people, like, we don't get him, he's crazy. They already sent me to the crazy house. I passed. I ain't crazy. So what else you got? Yeah. I'm just a Wolverine, you know what I mean? If that's crazy, so be it. That's my natural self. It's my natural self. My natural self is, everyone's afraid of my natural self, I'm just like, hello. They're like, he's crazy, get him, put him in handcuffs, I'm just like, well, okay. That's what I figured out. Like, everyone's afraid of me naturally, it seems like. But they don't run from me, but they're afraid of me. But, Jesus doesn't seem to be afraid of me. But he's MIA sometimes when I'm fighting authorities. Jesus, he's always nowhere to be found when we're against the authorities, against us. Although he did, I don't know, when me and Victor were up against the authorities, and we didn't do so good, Jesus. Victor's gone. It's not funny. It's not a joke, It really isn't. Look what they did to me, Sometimes I wish they took me out like, rather than torture me in a jail cell. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. I can handle torture. Torture is what makes me even more scary to the people. They're like, he survived that. He survived the most brutal county jail in the country, according to all the inmates. I haven't been, that's what I told the inmates. I'm like, I haven't been to any other county jail to compare. You know what I mean? For all I knew, Bandit County Jail is the best one. It's the only one I've been to. But according to the other inmates, it's the worst one compared to the other jails. They treat you the worst, you know. But I don't know. So I'm getting the most harsh training, you know, without even knowing it. You know what I'm saying? Sharpening me, you know what I'm saying? Total isolation sometimes, you know. You barely see the sun. That's some serious training when you barely see the sun. You know what I mean? And it's like a gift if you see the sun. That's insane. That's insane lockdown. When you barely see the sun. And when you do, it's only for like 15 minutes. That's insane, but you know what I'm saying? That's what we're talking about. That's like Bane in the pit torture. Seeing the sun barely. And that's another thing. We tried not to have too much hope. You know what I'm saying? That was the key. We were like, all the inmates were like, don't say hope. Because like that builds the despair. When you it's true. You know, what Bane says in The Dark Knight Rises is true. To have hope of escape. You know what I mean? Seeing the sun. I'm going to escape someday. I know I'm going to escape someday. Not escape, but even let go someday. And then you don't get let go. And then you don't get let go. A month passes, you don't let go. You know, that adds to the despair. That hope. It's true. That hope that you'll see the outside in the sunlight again, in the open. That builds to the despair of when it doesn't happen. Over and over. It's a legit way of torture. It is. So, but anyways, to the people that haven't been through that kind of torture, I don't care about you. I don't care about you. You know what I mean? It's for the big dogs, really. So, not even the 4 cops that killed Victor are brave enough to face the charges and go to jail. Not even they're brave enough. You know what I'm saying? That's what I thought about today. I'm like, I'm more brave than those 4 cops by a million miles. I'm taking accountability for my actions. Getting locked up and stuff, serving my time. They're too afraid, you know what I mean? They're way too afraid. Maybe because they know what'll happen to them. You know? It's not pretty when a cop goes to jail. No, probably not. I don't know. I know it's not pretty when a sex offender goes to prison. That's what I learned as well. You know, because I was around a few sex offenders. I try not to think about what they've done. That's why I'm like, I try not to think about anything they've done. I just know that they're a sex offender, and I'm like, okay, they're just a person, you know. But I know once they go to prison, they get torn apart. The sex offenders, and they were fearful. Some of them, I think, were actually innocent, and they were just falsely accused. And I may make a video about that, but yeah. But anyways. But some of the other inmates were like hostile in their mind against the sex offenders. You know, they wanted to, you know what I'm saying? Dust them. That's what they call them. Beat them to a bloody pulp. You know what I'm saying? So, serious. So, anyways. Grateful to be out of there for now. For now. It's not over yet. I haven't faced the jury yet. I haven't faced sentencing yet. So it's not over. I could very well be going back. But at least I may be free for the holidays. Hopefully. If I don't get set up. I'm keeping my distance, everything. I'm obeying what they said to do. So, it should be okay. But you never know. You never know when the police hate you. Although Although I may make a video, I realize there's another good cop in Pocatello. He transported me from high prison psych ward to county jail. He transported me. He's a good one. He was security for one of Bishop's events, and I'm like, I recognize you. Were you security for the event at this church? He's like, yeah. I'm like, I recognize you. I'm like, thanks for doing that for us. Like, no cop wanted to do that for Bishop, but this cop did it. He showed up for security. So I respect him. I won't say his name. I get in trouble for, but if you watch these videos, you know you are the one that transported me. You know what I'm saying? So spread the word to that guy. He's a good police officer. He's alright. I got nothing against him. Him and the rookie cop. There's a good rookie cop. There's like 2 good cops in this whole city. 2 or 3. And that's what the inmates said as well. So I met the few good cops in the city already. Seen a lot of the bad ones, but I met the 2 good ones, So I was grateful that a good cop transported me safely with no diversion from the county jail. He took me to the county jail, even though the county jail is a horrible place. And he made sure that I had toilet paper, and I appreciate him for that. I'm like, last time they didn't give me toilet paper. Can you make sure they give me toilet paper this time? And he's like, yep. And I'm like, thank you. And I'm like, are you going to leave my stuff here? He's like, it'll be at the police station. I'm like, you can't take my stuff to the police station. There's a no contact order. This is not a joke. My no contact order says I can't go near the police station. I can't go within 300 feet of the police station. This is not a joke. They're afraid of me. Nah. But I haven't even driven but 300 feet close to it. I haven't even driven. I haven't got, they don't mess around. They don't mess around, and that's what I learned. They don't mess around. So, I've been good, If I go within 300 feet of the police station, to jail I go. So, I gotta be smart. So, I'm being smart. So, the judge is like, do you understand the no contact order? I'm like, yes. And I've obeyed it. I thought I wasn't allowed to talk about elections and stuff, but I read the paperwork. I think it's okay that I do. It's, just, in vague terms. I think so. So I don't think that breaks the no contact talking about just elections. If I'm not allowed to, then I guess I'll be in jail again for breaking the no contact by talking about things that I wasn't supposed to. I don't know. They'll find a way. They'll find a way to get me in jail again. Mark my words, they'll find a way. But as long as I'm just sitting here by myself, minding my own business, I'm alright. I'm alright. But I learned something, I don't know, I've been trying to believe in what one of the candidates, Greg Cates, is saying, that he'll dismantle the good old boy system. But he was a former police officer here, so I don't know if he really will dismantle the good old boy system. But it sounded good when he said it in the paper, so hopefully. Because he's right about that good old boy system. They're tearing me apart. They locked me up, threw away the key for a while. I've been up against the good old boy system since I was a kid. They're unbeatable. They have a perfect record because they cheat. They have a perfect record against me because they cheat and they lock me up. You know what I mean? I know what they're doing, but they lock me up anyways because they hold all the cards. They hold all the cards. They control the psychologists. They control the churches. They control the leaders in the church. They control every aspect of leadership. You can't beat them. You can't beat them, you know, and I won't join them. I won't. That's what I said. I'm like, I'm not one of them, you know, but I can't beat them. So what do I do? That's what I was saying to an inmate. I'm like, I can't beat them, but I won't join them. So what do I do? You know, they rig the game, you know, so you can't win, and you just end up locked up, and they go away skipping in the sunset, you know, with no charges for shooting the kid. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is, but it's the world we live in, and we know that. Everyone knows that we can't beat the establishment. They cheat. They cheat. Although this election seemed fair, so they can't cheat in every aspect. That's what I learned while sitting in jail. I'm like, they can't cheat in every aspect with the people. You know what I mean? The people still have a say. They do. A voice. They haven't drowned out the people entirely, where there's just the good old boys and that's it. The good old boys still depend on the people to vote for them. You know what I mean? So, anyways, this is about Archangel. Again, why are you making a video about Archangel? Because he's the only one that wrote me a letter in jail and put money on my books. And you didn't. So I don't care about you. I won't make a video about you at all. Anyway, that's all I'll say for this video.